This stuff, guys, is not on Wednesdays. Test will be on next week's test. All right, so just about every week and a half. Yes, ma'am. All right, so anybody remember how to graph these? There's like 4 different ways you could graph this. I think the fastest way, if we'll just graph this by rise over run, graph it by slope. Okay? So if we're going to graph this by slope, we have to solve it for y. So you're going to move the x over first. It was a positive 12x. That's going to make it a negative 12x. I need you to write that down. All right, last, we're going to divide everything by negative 6. So you got negative 12 divided by negative 6, that's positive 2. You got negative 18 divided by negative 6, that's positive 3. All right, so now we're going to graph that. Just graph a line. Does anybody remember, how do we find the slope looking at that equation? Yes, the slope is rise over run. You want to write it as a fraction, 2 over 1. The slope is always with the x. All right, the other number, the plus 3, is called the y-intercept. Now you can write these down, or you don't have to write them down. We're supposed to know them. Okay? Does anybody remember which one out of those 2 we graph first? All right, we do the y-intercept first. I got to go up 3 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3. Y'all make a point. All right, now our slope, our rise over run, I go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. And I need y'all to draw a straight line using your straight edge through those points. And that's a real quick review of graphing a basic equation. Stuff y'all did probably in 8th grade, right? Yes, sir. Hey, I think I've got these graphs numbered at the top of each graph. Is that accurate? Yes. All right, any question on number 1 before I erase it? We do number 2. All right, let's go to number 2. All right, it says x equals negative 5. All right, this one's going to be an easy one. All right, this one is missing something. What is this equation? It's missing the y. So we can't do rise over run on this one. All we can do on this one, since it's missing the y, y'all just go to negative 5 on the x-axis and put a point for me. Right there. Now my graph has x here and y here. Does yours have x and y? Then you might want to write it if you forgot where the x-axis is. And this one, since I don't have a rise over run, I just draw a straight line straight up and down. All right, question. If I need to slow down, let me know. Number 3. All right, number 3 is a different type problem. How come we can't graph number 3 by rise over run? It's got an x squared. Does anybody remember from last year what kind of shape it makes on an x squared? A parabola. It makes a U. Okay? So the easiest way for you guys to graph this one, why don't we just plug in points? I mean, that's the easiest way. Always plug in the lowest numbers possible. Let's plug in 0. Let's plug in 2 and negative 2. If you want to plug in 1 and negative 1 also for extra points, you can. But those are 5 low numbers. And I just made them up. They're the lowest numbers I can think of. All right, question. All right, ask it. I'll say this part again, Amelia. Do you see where I got these 3 numbers from? You can just make them up. You plug in any number you want. Always plug in low numbers. For example, you don't want to plug in 8 because 8 squared is 64 minus 3. That would give you 61. There's not 61 spaces on our graph, so plug in low numbers. That's why I chose these. Okay? If I plug in 0, what is 0 squared? 0. Subtract 3 is minus 3. All right, next number. 2 squared is 4. minus 3 is 1. All right, this is where first block messed up. A lot of kids did this. They plugged in negative 2 squared minus 3 in their calculator. They got negative 7, which is wrong. How did they mess up?
They didn't put in parentheses.
They forgot to put the parentheses. Anytime you got a negative number and you square it, you got to put parentheses. Plug it in, see what you get.
1.
Got 1 again. All right, let's graph these 3, and it's going to make our shape. Over 0, down 3. Right here is my point.
I don't remember we got the little chart just threw me off the.
Okay, well, we had to do this one different, Amelia, because it had an x squared. You can't do rise over run when it's x squared. So the only other way right now we know how to do it is the chart. So if you have a weird-looking problem that's got something special in it, like an x squared, you're going to do a chart. All right, over 2 up 1 and negative 2 up 1. And you guys can look at my parabola. All right, question on 3 before we go to 4. Trying to get y'all through quickly. We got to get through 7. All right, number 4. Does it have something special in this problem? Yeah, it's got a square root. So again, we're just going to plug in some points. So this time it does matter what you plug in. Let me show you. You don't want to plug in 0 on this one. How come? Watch. If we plug in 0, what is 0 plus 3? 3. Is there a square root of 3? Then you don't want to plug in that. All right, let's plug in something else. First of all, I would say let's plug in something that's going to give us a 0. Well, I know the opposite of positive 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Square root of 0 is 0. That one's always good to plug in first. Just plug in the opposite of what's up under the square root symbol. All right, another one, let's see. I want to plug in something to give me a 4. So 1 plus 3 is 4, right? So I'm going to plug in a 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. What's the square root of 4? 2. Let's plug in one more. Can y'all think of another one? Somebody said 6 a minute ago. That'll work. What is 6 plus 3? That's why that'll work, because the square root of 9 is 3. All right, graph those 3 points. Let's see what kind of shape that makes. Did y'all do all this stuff last year? Should have. Guys, I got to answer this call.